His talk will be slightly like in this way, but he's basically talking on intellectual property management and its importance in today's business. That is, he's going to be discussing for next say about maybe about 15 minutes or 1 hour, something like that. Sir, forum is yours, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Ravi, and thank you, the other senior people from IGNOU. Probably I will not be able to name all of you, but thank you very much for inviting me and allowing me to share some of the ideas and thoughts with all of you. I hope I'm audible.
Yeah, you are audible, sir.
Thank you. I'll just put on my slide, and if it doesn't work, maybe Dr. Ravi, you have to help me out, but I believe it should work. Sorry, it's the last slide. Slide visible?
Yes, sir. Clear, very clear.
Thank you. I was just listening to the last part of the first session, and actually it served a lot of things which I want to cover, because we were hearing a lot about innovation and entrepreneurship and innovations being closely related, and innovation is something which is very close to me, and one thing as an entrepreneur, any entrepreneur or would-be entrepreneur, the aim for any entrepreneur is to solve a problem, an existing problem. Now, if you have to solve an existing problem, you cannot do it by following the same product process which is already there, because then the problem would have already been solved. So you have to innovate in some way. So therefore, the requirement of innovation is integral to the concept of entrepreneurship, to the concept of startup, because every startup entrepreneur would like to develop something which do not exist, and anything which you want to create which is not existing means that you have to innovate. So therefore I'll be talking about innovation, why innovation is important. I mean, my earlier speaker has already touched upon that, but I'll talk about it a little more. And then importantly, that when you innovate, what do? That is something which is critical, that you also be able to protect your innovation so that you kind of get the rewards of the innovation. So I'll talk about that, probably how some of the ways you can protect. And finally, I'll be talking about, as a business strategy, licensing and other things which also become integral for your development as an entrepreneur. How do you do that? So probably we'll talk a little bit about that. That's what the talk will be about, and I'll go fast in some of the slides and probably spend a little time in some of them so that we can do justice to the time that is allocated. So I mean, you are aware that traditionally we had one company in a country or in a location who was serving locally or internationally. So it was a one company developing a product, one or two products, 3 products, 4 products. That was the traditional model. But now in the last, 50, 60, 70 years, it has today it is not developed. It is not that a company means it is residing in one place. It is geographically distributed. It is also not that everything is developed by one company. You cannot develop today everything in-house. So you have to collaborate. You have to work with partners. You have to work with third-party suppliers. All of them creates a maze where a lot of knowledge and information is created, generated, shared. The risk being, how do I handle all this information, knowledge that is being created in a distributed network and ensure that only the stakeholders are benefited, and it is not lost does not go to your competitors, to a third party who can probably use it in a way which could be detrimental to you. So how do you, so one part is the physical products that is being made. The other part, and that's the more important part, I'll talk about it as I go along, is the knowledge, information, know-how that is being generated in this distributed model, and how do I ensure that it does not, it benefits me and my stakeholders. So that's a very critical question for today. And when we are talking about entrepreneurship, we are talking about doing new things. And I'm saying new things, I'm not saying new products. New things can mean many things. We'll touch upon that. So it could be any entrepreneur could, and why do we want to create innovation? And the entrepreneurs today has to work in a very competitive environment, because there is intense competition in whatever fields you're going to work. How do you gain market share? How do you develop new products and processes which is useful for the customers that you want to address, and go on providing them better products? Because today the one of the biggest challenges for any industry is product obsolescence and product fatigue. The customers need newer and newer things. They do not want to use the same thing again and again. They're always looking for new products, processes, something which makes them interesting. So as a businessman, you have to continuously think of, how do I continue to make my products beneficial to or interesting to my customers? How do I access critical technologies required for my product? Now we know about this critical rare earth and other things, metals, which with China and other things happening. So there is so much of challenge in gaining technologies, and without the right technology, your product will not be competitive. So how do I gain access to those technologies? How do I retain? Because as an entrepreneur, you can't do everything on your own. You need a team. Now, how do you get the right talent and retain the talent? That's a bigger problem than gaining access to talent. Customer behavior, understanding customer behavior, having access to cheap resources, because that could, if you're making a copy of an existing product, then you have to have a differentiator, because your cost has to be manageable. So therefore, access to the right resources at the right price is critical. How do you do that? Not only today, as I said, customers have a lot of today fatigue on products and things. So therefore, you have to think about what will the customer need tomorrow, anticipate future demand. So there's a lot of challenge, a lot of competition for an entrepreneur or any businessman today in the market. And we know that if you make one wrong CA, music CD was something which we all grew up with. Today, I'm sure nobody uses music CD. Music CD industry is gone. So the product obsolescence, even the category gets obsoleted so quickly. And so therefore, you have to go on doing things, improving, developing new things, developing new ways of doing things. That's critical. So that's the first part about what do you do as an entrepreneur. You need to be continuously innovating. That's critical. And when you are developing any product that you are developing, when I say product, I'm talking generically. So therefore, products can be two things. One could be a product new to the world, innovative product. It would have, and then the other would be a copy of an existing product, which we call broadly as a generic product. So if it's an innovative product, these are some of the characteristics: that it has to be new, high level of innovation. It provides a better product to the society, caters to an unmet need, solves some of the problems. Now, if you are doing this, you need to ensure two things. One, you need to ensure that the product that you have developed new is well protected, so that nobody else can copy you within at least a period of time by which you can get your ROI. And also ensure that you don't trespass somebody else's, you don't trespass somebody else's property. This is extremely critical. Even if you don't do the first, if you trespass into somebody else's property, that would be a big problem for you, because the courts will stop you from being in the market. So these are things which you need to be careful from the very beginning when you start thinking of developing a product. And the other is generic equivalent, where you are trying to copy an existing product. The innovations would be less. It basically kind of increases the market share. You are able to provide at a lower cost. You are able to provide at a more efficient process and other things, so that ultimately your value proposition in a generic product primarily is providing the product to the people who do not have access to it. It could be that the product is not sold in India, so you are selling it in India. It could be that it is sold in a higher price, you are able to make it at a lower price. But for doing that also, you need to innovate, you need to create something new, you have to create some value, provide a value proposition. So here also the primary requirement would be you should not trespass somebody else's IP, because this is critical, and this understanding has to be there, that irrespective of what I do, understanding IP, understanding the laws of IP, understanding how to play the game is critical, because otherwise in today's world, all your development, every efforts will fail if you trespass somebody, because most probably you will not be able to launch your product, because somebody else will go to court and file a suit, and then you will be injuncted, you will be stopped from marketing. So therefore, this understanding that you need to be careful about others' IP, along with ensuring that nobody copies you, so that you are able to gain benefit from the work that you have done, are essential for any entrepreneur in today's environment. So why am I saying that innovation is the way to go? Look at it. Humira, the adalimumab. These are some examples where you can see that the innovations create so much of value. And when I'm saying innovations, it could be multiple ways. We'll just touch upon that a little later. So the first one is a Humira, Humira is adalimumab, which Dr. Ravi referred to. It was at one point of time the world's largest selling molecule drug. And its global sale, if you can see 2022, the sale was around 21 billion. And the company's entire sale, AbbVie is the company whose product was Humira, that company's entire sale in 2022 was 58 billion. So almost 30 to almost like little more 30 to 35% of the company's entire sale was from one product. So that's the power of innovation. If you look at Coca-Cola, we all know that the revenue of Coca-Cola was 43 billion in 2022. And the brand value of Coca-Cola, the Coca-Cola, if you sell that brand to somebody, you could have got 35 billion. So almost again, 70% of the total sales is equivalent to the brand value of the product. Alphabet is Google's parent company. You see the same numbers. It's almost like 60 to 70% more than that of the revenue what Alphabet generates. That is equivalent to the brand value. So that's the power of a brand. A brand properly made is extremely costly, because extremely beneficial, because that identifies the product in the market. When you say Google, you don't need to say anything else. Everybody knows what Google is. When you say Coca-Cola, you don't have to tell anybody what Coca-Cola is. The name itself is good enough for the people to know what the product is. Now look at Mercedes-Benz and the Mercedes-Benz. It's kind of reverse. Why is it so? Because two things. One, Mercedes-Benz as a value-added proposition, there are enough competition. There are many cars which has the similar kind of value proposition. So the brand has not so much value. Plus the other thing is, there has been a lot of knockoffs of Mercedes, Benz. These terms have been used in other sectors and have been successfully. They have made Mercedes perfumes, Benz underwear, all those stuff are there. So therefore, there has been a brand dilution, which has caused the brand value of Mercedes-Benz to come down. So it is very important that not only you create a brand, but ensure that nobody else uses it, so that you lose. You know that today we talk about Xerox. Xerox means But the moment we say Xerox, which means that it is a copy, and Xerox machine we know. But Xerox is a company. So the brand value of that company has come down so well because every company's copying machine is called a Xerox machine. So therefore, it's important that you ensure that if you create a brand, ensure that nobody dilutes it, nobody copies it, because then you lose market. Now I'll show you this last number that why innovation makes sense. So this is the US generic market, means the drugs and pharmaceutical market in US, means generic products, means all the generic companies who sell. The total sale of that in 2022 by one estimate was around 435 billion. And that year, Pfizer is an innovative company which makes innovative products. One company's sale was 100 billion. So 1/4 of the total generic market was the sale of a single innovative company. So therefore, the value of innovative products is substantially more than what is of the generic product. So this is a definition of innovation. We all know innovation means creating value by something which do not exist. So these are some definitions which talks about innovation. And innovations can be new products, process, operation. So it's not related to only product and process. Even how you deal with your distributors, how you channel your source, how do you do sourcing, everything. How do you deal with your people, that the people stay with you? All of them, if could be innovations which can have value. So think of it in a broad perspective when you are talking of innovation. And why do we have to protect innovation? I mean, innovation is great, but why do I need to protect it? Because on a theoretical level, it is the creation of an individual. And if you have created a property, something which is value, if you don't get protection, then everybody will use it, and will be no motivation for you to be creative, because you would be copied, and everybody else will benefit from your creativity. So therefore, it is important that your innovations are protected, and you ensure that your innovations are protected. The problem is innovations and other things are ideas. These are knowledge. These are intangible assets. These are not tangible. This is not a pen, pencil, other things which you can put your name and say, this is mine. The moment you disclose your idea to somebody, it is gone. You cannot take it back. A pen, if you rent a pencil, you rent to somebody, you can take it back. But an innovation idea, if you tell it to somebody without protecting it, it is lost. It is lost forever. So therefore, it is important that it is protected by the government. Otherwise, nobody will share ideas. You will not get new ideas, because everybody will be worried that once the idea is given, it becomes everybody's property, and there is no control for me. Ideas, they thought your idea today, it would be 10 years from where you can market it, 5 years, 4 years. It takes time. Ideas takes time, and not all ideas will work. So therefore, one or two ideas which actually work among hundreds that you do, even if you think of Edison, he said that only a couple of his old ideas became commercially successful. So you need protection so that you can fail and still get benefited. You can one or two ideas which work can help you get your return on investment for all the failed ideas also, and you continue to be creative. So innovation is not about doing rocket science. Innovation is a continuous process where you can go on doing small changes. And this is a slide which I use many times, because this is a beautiful slide which talks about even a simple thing as a paperclip. If you look at it, from 1924 to 2006, people have been innovating on a simple thing as paperclip. So nothing, I mean, innovation can happen everywhere, anywhere, and small things, and it can create value. Without paper clips, I think today's our educational system and everything will be having handicapped, even industries, because of simple paper clip. We started in 1924. So innovation is about continuously improving, creating value on anything that you think can solve a problem or help give somebody a better product. So, as I said, the innovations are ultimately a creation of a human mind, And because it needs to be protected, otherwise everybody will copy it, and the person who created it will not get benefited. So there has been an effort, and then this has been recognized as a property of the individual, and that property is intellectual property. And this is what WIPO is, the international forum who tries to work with countries to have a proper IP infrastructure in all countries, so that creative ideas are protected. This is the definition of IP as per there. So it is not any, it is anything about which is creative, literary, artistic works, symbols, names, images, and designs used in commerce. IP includes, but is not limited to, proprietary formulas and ideas. This is very important. Proprietary formulas and ideas. It is not always that what you publish is what is important. What you don't publish can be much more important, which we talk about trade secrets and other things. We'll touch in the next slide. And for many companies, it is the IP which is much more valuable than the physical assets. Think of IBM, think of Google, think of how much of them have physical assets and what is the actual value of that company. It's mostly the IP assets which is valuable. It's much more valuable than the physical assets that they have. And loss of IP is a huge problem because of threat, because of disclosure, wrongful, whatever way. 300 billion, some companies, some estimates say that 300 billion of revenues are lost if because of not properly protecting IP. So that's the kind of loss people can suffer if you don't protect your IP properly. So IP is fine. You have innovation. You have created a new product, but what do you do? What kind of products are you going to develop? What innovations make sense, especially as an entrepreneur? I think for you, the guiding force will be innovations which show you the money. So any innovation which you cannot be commercialized or doesn't have a commercial potential is not something which should be very high in your agenda. Even if you are thinking of a philanthropic activity, it still requires costs. So you have to get your costs back. So therefore, it's important that you take, when you are talking of innovations in any field, the driving force should be whether I can commercialize it, whether I can get value out of it. Innovations which do not create commercial impact are good to know, but as an entrepreneur, you would lose money. You will not be able to sustain yourself if you invest in such innovations. So commercialization ability has to drive your innovation activities. So these are some of the basics of type way you can protect your intellectual properties. There are patents, there are trademarks, there are copyrights, trade secrets. Most of us have heard these terms. Quickly, what are they? Copyright means anything which is, your books, textbooks, music, everything which is created, which is more of written, oral disclosure, music, all those kind of things, which are more of an not related to industrial application. Trademarks, we all know. Each of this what I put in, if you look at it, you know what the product is, what we are talking about. I don't have to describe anything beyond these images to tell you what product is done. So trademark is something which defines a product. It helps differentiate a product. You can have cars and you can have a BMW. You can have shoes and you have a Nike. You have your fast food chains and you have McDonald's. So what the moment I say fast food chains, it could be anything, but when you say McDonald's, you exactly know what we are talking about. So that's the value of it. That's the power of a trademark. It identifies the product in a crowded market. So having a great trademark is an extremely important thing for you to be able to create a value for your product. The next is design. Design is something which is more of a what you like, what you see, it's more of a beauty element of it. If you look at this example, these are scooters, right? These are scooters. In terms of in function, it is a scooter, but they are designed differently. It's something which is unique. So design is element which protects your shape, size, other things, which is not functional, but gives a beauty and entices the person to choose one among many which are functionally the same. So that's design. A beautiful design, a beautiful chair always entices you from among when you go to a shop for purchasing furniture. Sorry. Trade secret. We all know the Coca-Cola story that its recipe is not known. Now, Coca-Cola tells you something that today in most industries, what is known about the product is 10 to 20% of the actual know-how which goes into developing the product. It's like an iceberg. The disclosed information is the tip of the iceberg, and the most of it is know-how, trade secrets, which you cannot see. So therefore, protecting your know-how, which actually gives you a competitive advantage, is extremely important. You need to think of it, what you want to disclose and what you don't want to disclose. What you don't want to disclose is what probably will give you the advantage. Patents is something which protects your technical, whatever you do, something which is invention, which is product, which is improvement on an existing product, new process, all those things, which is an industrial application. Geographical indication is what we say as basmati rice, Darjeeling tea, which is unique to a place. A Darjeeling tea or a tea in Uti have different flavors, and these geographical indication are government supported way to protect the products of a particular place, so that nobody can use it wrongfully. So these are the primary levels of protection that you can use to protect your intellectual property, your innovations. So this is, I've talked about patents, but generally the concept is for every type of IP, there are certain things which can be protected, be it a patent, be it a copyright, be it a trademark. Trademarks, like if it's a vulgar trademark, if it's something which is kind of a national symbol, similar to a national, those cannot be. So therefore, there are things which can be protected, and there are things which cannot be protected under law. And these laws vary from country to country. So therefore, you have to be mindful about what you are trying to protect. Not everything is protected, can be protected by patent, trademark, copyright, trade secret, except trade secret, because trade secret is something which you know and nobody else knows. So whatever you can, you keep it to yourself is your invention, is to you. But otherwise, every other kind of protection that is provided under intellectual property has their limits. You can do something, you cannot do something. So this is what it is about. I've talked about patents. I'm not talking about it because this is you have to know about based on what kind of IP you are generating, you want to protect. So these are things which you cannot be protected under patents. So similarly for copyrights, similarly for trademarks, there are things which cannot be protected. And then again, those also varies from country to country based on the laws of the country. So you have to be careful about the depending on where you are trying to market, and yet so you will be careful about what can be protected and what cannot be protected. So again, I've talked about patents, but this is again generically for IP. So what is it that they protect? This is important because I've seen so many people having this notion of having an IP means I can go to the market, I can do this, I can do that. No, every form of IP, one, it is legally enforceable. So if you go to court, if you have an IP, you can ask that, okay, please enforce my rights. The court will help you enforce your rights. Meaning, what will the court do? Court will do only one thing. It will stop others from copying your IP. It does nothing else. If you have to get an approval for a product, you have to go to other agencies, get an approval. IP is not going to help you. Another thing which is very important is there is nothing called a global IP. All IP is territorial, means each country has their laws for each type of IP. So if you want protection in a particular country, you have to go to that country, seek protection, and if the country's law allows you to do that, you can get protection. If the country's law it could be that India does not provide some level of protection which US provides, and vice versa. So therefore, you have to be mindful of the countries where you want to seek protection. You have to get help to know what is allowed there, what is protectable there, and do it accordingly. And there is a limit except for copyright, except for maybe again trade secret and trademark. All other forms of IP has a limited shelf life, limited period of protection. Trademarks are protected as long as you are using it, but for all other forms of IP except trade secret, because again trade secret is a different beast, nobody knows, so therefore it can be protected. Coca-Cola's trade secret is protected for more than 150 years now. Others have a limited time of protection. And how does IP protection helps in the society? Because ultimately the society provides you protection, so therefore society also has to benefit, because it is where you get new products, new processes. A lot of knowledge sharing happens because of protection. You have to disclose your invention, you disclose your trademark, so therefore a lot of knowledge sharing happens, which helps others to work on it and develop newer products. And the information becomes everybody's property after a period of time. As I said, as most of the IP has a limited period. Now, then the question is, how do you decide on what to protect and what not to protect? Because protection requires money. A patent protection in multiple countries will cost you a couple of crores. It's not cheap. So therefore, you have to be very careful and decide what to protect and how to protect. So what to protect? So there are some myths, like great ideas make great products. If you have a great idea, therefore you are going to have a great product. Let's see, Microsoft tablet. It was considered even by Bill Gates as the innovation of the century, but it failed as soon as it was launched. This was, I also did not know before I did this research, is that this picture phone was developed in 1964, but nobody knew it because probably it was ahead of its time. It was costly and whatever, but it was 64. But there was no market. Similarly, the first computer was in 1973, Xerox Alto. No market because of it could be any of those. No market, high cost, not doing enough, anything. So great ideas may not always work as give you a great product. Similarly, if you have invested heavily, therefore your product will be great. So these are some examples where millions have been spent, but then the product did not do well because there was no market. The customers did not like the product. Also, simple inventions very simple things. What's the value? It's so simple. Simplicity doesn't mean that it's a great product. It will give you a great product. Duct tape, post-it notes. These are. We all use it for everything, and these are apparently very so. Therefore, it's not. So there is no one way to decide whether your invention will benefit or not. Will be ultimately benefit. It's a bet you have to take, but it has to be a conscious bet. So therefore, these are some things that it's not that it's straightforward. If I invest, I'll get better. It is correlated to your investments and things like that. No, you have to think of multiple ways before you decide whether to invest on a new product, process, technology, in order to be able to recoup your benefit, recoup your costs, and make some money. So how patents are valued? Again, it's patents, but again, it mostly works for any type of IP. What's the value of it? What is the invention? What is new about it? What is it that the customer is getting? Is it opening up a new market? What is the size and how? What is the cost of to build that market? Are significant problems solved? If as an entrepreneur your aim is to solve a problem, is it really being solved? And if it is solved, to what extent? At what cost? Technological thrust. What core technology? Let's presume that technology is itself getting obsolete and you are trying to develop something there. As I said, the music industry, the CD industry, or there's so many things. Today people don't even talk about, because of this OTT platforms, we don't, many of us have switched off our DTH connections also. So now if you are investing in a DTH connection, does it make sense? Commercial value, time to market, how long will it take? If it takes 10 years, what will be the market? Will there be a market after 10 years? So investment required to bring innovation. So what kind of innovation? One is getting the prototype, and then getting that prototype to a marketable product is a huge jump. Is it worth it? Will you be able to? Do you have the investments? Can you get investors to invest in you? And once you do that, finally, whether the market will take it. Size, geography, political market size, competitors, present and future, that is more important. Present competitors you know, but you don't know what's happening in some part of the world, which can completely change the market. Disruptive innovations we are talking about. AI and machine learning. We didn't even, before COVID, it was some AI concepts. AI and then machine learning and then something which we were hearing. Today, AI has become the biggest disruptor of the way we do business. Third-party infringement, as I said, whatever you do, if you are trespassing somebody else's rights, you will, in spite of having the greatest product, you will not be in the market. So therefore, ensure that your product is non-infringing. Is there a possibility to outlicense the product technology at what stage? This is extremely important because you cannot reach the world. You may not, as an entrepreneur, you may not have resources to market the whole product everywhere. So, and this is standard practice. Everybody does that. IBM does that. Ericsson, Oppo, all do this. As I said, will I stop? The same thing. So these are some of the questions we need to think before you decide to invest in a product which you think can solve a problem. If it could solve a problem, but still, if there is no market, what do you do with that product? So these are some of the questions. There are many, but these are some of the basic questions you need to think through. This is the last part of what I want to talk about, because as an entrepreneur, today it is impossible for you to do everything in-house. You cannot develop every technology that is required for you most of the times. I'm not saying always, but most of the times to develop the product. And also you may not have the resources, bandwidth, the capabilities, everything to be able to market it yourselves. So collaboration, licensing in and licensing out has to and will play a critical role for as you develop your products and try to bring it to the market. So licensing is a very important aspect, and most companies are getting so many licensing agreements every NDA, so that they are able to bring the products in the most cost-effective manner and also reach the largest geography of the product, which can make so that the maximum value can be derived out of it. So some of the key considerations, if you are thinking of doing a licensing, both in licensing and out licensing, are some of the things which you need to think about. First is, do I need to out license or in license the product entirely? At what stage? At the initial stage. If you're doing it at the initial stage, your valuation will come down. If you want to, but if you don't have money, you have to probably out license initially. Or if you're in licensing, when you are doing research, you can use any technology because those are protected as long as you're not commercializing it. But if you wait that to in license a technology or product which is critical to your product at a later date, you will have to pay a huge fee because the licensor will understand that you have a product which has a great value, so therefore they'll ask for a high value. Now, if you in-license early, it could be that by the time you develop the product, there could be better licensing options available, and you are stuck with a old license. So therefore, that's a decision we have to take. What kind of license do you want to give? You want to give co-development, or you only marketing rights, only co-development and marketing rights? You develop, they market, all sorts of things you need to think through. Who would be my potential partners? You need to decide who would be best to develop your product. Which technology among the many available is the most cost effective and beneficial for me to develop the product? So you have to ultimately decide on which one to take. That's a very critical decision you have to take. Exclusive or non-exclusive. Exclusive license means you give it to one person, and that person will be responsible for distributing it in the countries that you give. So exclusive is only to one person. Non-exclusive means to many persons. Now, exclusive can be to a country, it could be a region, it could be global. Non-exclusive again can be country. So you have to decide how many partners do you need, for which geography. Some maybe you want to say that, okay, I will be marketing in some geographies, you take some of the geographies. All those things are based on your strength, your product strength, the market size you have to decide. So these are some of the things we need to think about when you're thinking of licensing out. All possible. So the technology can or product can be multiple use. Are you going to give it for all the users or for some users? You can choose your partners based on the use. For some use, you can give it to partner A. For some other use, you decide. I mean, but you have to think through. That's important. How many potential licenses, if you are talking about it, terms of the license. Now, this is very important. In a license agreement, it is better to have everything written down. Anything which is not written down and you assume that this means this, you have a problem later on. Because lawyers are there to interpret it in the way they want. So better to put in everything in writing. Certain no-go zones, which you say, okay, if you are taking my license, you are not supposed to do that. You are not supposed to take a product, market a product from my competitor. You are not supposed to market in these countries because there I would not like my product to be there. So no-go zones, if you think it is there, you think through and decide. What if the licensing fails? Most of the time, many times licenses fail. Then what do? Are you stuck? Do you have an option to get back your product? If it fails, then what? If there is a conflict, we don't like conflict, but conflict happens. Now, your partner may be based in US, Europe, somewhere in the world. Where do you want this litigations to happen if there is a conflict? Do you want to be in a country whose laws you are aware, Indian lawyers are aware, British law or something, or you want to be in a place where you have to depend on an external counsel, their country's counsel, for helping you because that expertise is not available in India. So be careful about choosing jurisdiction if in an agreement you have to say that, okay, in case of conflict, where will I be fighting it out? So don't disclose. This is very basic but important, that first have a CDA, confidential disclosure agreement. Don't disclose anything before you have that in place. A very simple document, but it is extremely critical because without that, whatever you tell the other person, the person has the right to use it by itself because you don't have a non-confidential agreement in place. So this is the first thing you should do in any potential agreement, licensing is first sign a CDA before you disclose anything about your product. So that last part is if you are also developing, they may be also developing. So what happens if new IP is generated? Who will? So all those things has to be thought through when you are getting into a licensing agreement, because otherwise your licensing agreement may not be beneficial to you. So some more things to be careful when you are talking about licensing in a discussions. Many times critical IP is not disclosed by the licensor because they know that is valuable. So therefore you need to be diligent in finding out, in understanding whether you are getting all the IP that is necessary for you to develop the product or market the product. It's important that you do the proper due diligence. There could be improvements which could be drastic after the license has been taken. So therefore, because of that improvement, whatever you will be making will not be useful. So do you have access to that improvements also? You have to ensure that if you are taking a license. It could be that the IP has expired. If you have not done a due diligence, it has happened many times that the IP in a country where you think that there is a market, there is no IP there. Either they have not filed it or the IP has been expired for whatever reason. And then once you go to commercialize, you see the next day there is a competitor selling the same product at half the price. So be sure of that. Who owns the patent? Many times there is so much of cross licensing happening in an IP that the person from whom you are taking the license may not own the IP. It could be owned by a third party, by university or somebody else. So be sure that you know the exact who owns the IP and whether that person has given your licenses the right to give you a license. It could be that the university has said that you cannot license it to XYZ type of people, and you fall in that XYZ type of people. And if you don't check properly, tomorrow you will see that you don't have that right, because the university has not given your licensor the right to give you a life sub license, and you are stuck. Pending patent application. So you are, as you develop your product, you file your patent applications on the type of way. It takes time for you to that IP to be granted. So it could be that this IP is ultimately that does not get into a patent, or a trademark is granted. So therefore you have situation where you invested on some IP believing that the IP will be sound, and you found that finally that IP has not been protected, the IP is not granted, and you are not protected. So the diligence is extremely critical. And is it that if you are licensing it something, that the technology that you're licensing is infringing somebody else's property, then again you are stuck, because then you have to take a license to the third party who may not give you, and then you will not be able to sell the product. So these are many things which you need to keep in mind. But licensing, when you are doing a licensing, this is critical for you when you are trying to develop a product, because you will, most of the time, you will need to have support from external agencies to be able to develop your product or process or whatever you want to do to be able to commercialize it at the shortest possible time. And these are some examples of how companies do. So therefore, when you are building a product, it is not about only one type of IP. It has to be a mixture of multiple types of IP, which actually gives you the right protection. If you see Apple, they do Apple, Disney, each of them, their products are protected by patents, copyrights, designs, trade secrets, all sorts of inventions. And that's a portfolio you need to think of building in order to ensure that nobody trespasses your property. Because the better protection that you create for yourself, the better monopoly that you will be generating. So these are some examples. Apple, I picked up from different sectors. So all of them use the same way to build a portfolio of IP consisting of all these different forms, so that they get the most effective protection. This is again, I've picked up Coca-Cola. They have this brand. The bottle is design. The music is copyright. They have the tone that they have. The opener it was protected by IP. All of them. So there's multiple type of IP which protects a single product, and that's how they have tried to. And finally, the monopoly of the recipe, which is nobody knows, that has allowed a single product to be such a valuable product for more than 121, 30 years now. So think big. It's important that you think big. So final slide, kind of. So you need to think IP as a business strategy, and it has to be aligned to your business strategy. IP assets are not souvenirs to be displayed. It has to be aligned. It has to be help you create and develop your business. It is not a legal problem. It is a business problem. You have to think of it as an integral part and a very important component of your business. And a wrong IP strategy can kill even the best of business. We know about Apple and BlackBerry. BlackBerry, everybody used a BlackBerry at some point of time. Every executive had a BlackBerry in their hand. Today, the company is no more, because they did not invest in the right technology. When Apple was investing in touchscreen, BlackBerry thought, I can still work with the QWERTY, that modular keyboard. So IP should help you create your business, protect your business, and develop newer businesses. So therefore, it has to be. You have to think about IP as one of the cornerstone of your business. You talk of finance, you talk of other things, resources. IP has to be another pillar of your business, and these are, you can use the various type of protections available in a way that you can create the best possible protection for yourself. And this is the example I always use as my last slide. We all know this. We have always used it. And the innovation in this lied in this, the opener. And can anybody imagine what kind of revenue this opener has generated if but for the innovator? Mind-boggling. The guy gave a license to Coca-Cola at a cost of 1/10 penny per can. That was very, very big. Think of the shrewdness of that guy, and how could he think that what kind of business he is looking at? And look at the amount he was earning per day. Phenomenal. And that's the power of innovation and being able to and being savvy about how you use your innovation for maximizing the gain that you have of the product. And then very simple things can lead to fantastic results if you play the game well. I'll stop here. Thank you. Thank you for your time. I hope this was a little bit useful to what you are planning to do. Thank you.
Sir, very wonderful session, sir. Sir, Paneerselvam sir, would you like to give some comments?
Yeah, it is a very, very impressive and excellent presentation. Very useful. We came to know about many new things. We generally view IPR is. Today also, I think after the presentation of Dr. Banerjee, I'm reminded of a news appeared in today's Hindu regarding the seat belts invented by the Volvo, and now they are not having the patent.
Yes.
So they are not having the patent for it. So it is very interesting. I think it is a very impressive and very good session we had. And there is another side of that is another side of the coin. We invent and we will not have anything on that. That is a very interesting thing today. We have, I think we are largely benefited by Dr. Banerjee. I'm very much thankful to him on behalf of all our faculty and the NCID and the students who are participating and my colleagues at all regional centers. We thank you profusely, sir, for your very impressive, very appealing presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any interaction from students, Raviji? We can.
Yeah. Session is open now to the students because he is a very busy person and he gave us some time in his busy schedule, and the way he gave talk is very simply he has given. Actually, the intellectual property means we think in a very big way.
I was expecting this in a different way, but he was presenting it in the way it is expected.
Yeah, everyone can understand very easily. And then it's very much like
He has given the third dimension of
yes, it's very much important to our students who want to do innovate and become entrepreneurs.
I think the students also should cultivate this habit of making use of the opportunity like this to interact with experts like Dr. Banerjee. If you have anything, you don't feel hesitating to ask anything. Whatever comes to your mind, we will not mind it. You please present. See, that is the idea, and that is what makes these kind of programs a success. So we want the people to be very, feel free to interact with our experts. So whatever you would like to ask. Some more clarity you require in something or new things you want to know. May not be all the things what Dr. Banerjee presented may be directly related to you, but still, there is a scope for us to understand.
Yeah. Shashwat Tiwari is raised the hand. Yes, Shashwat Tiwari, unmute yourself and talk.
Hi, sir. Thank you so much for the session. It was really insightful. So I wanted to understand, like you mentioned, that it is really costly to protect the company rights or your product rights, whatever you are building, right? Is there any ways, like for example, for a startup, there are fundings or different rounds of fundings, and all those things are there. Is it possible, or is something there from the government side or any kind of private institutions which helps to file for a production, and it covers the cost of the the production rights?
See, the government of India, patent office, for if you're a startup and in a single area, the cost of filing and everything is substantially reduced. If you go to the patent office website and see the cost of filing by the individual inventor or a startup is substantially low. I think 2,000 to 2,300, whereas the company filing is 8,000. So government has, the examination of your patent application and everything has a cost. So therefore, government, I don't think they can do it free, but what they are trying to do is motivate you through reducing cost. They can help you in when you are doing licensing. There are government portals which helps you in licensing out your invention. If you want, if government can also, the patent office also can help you get a voluntary license from another patentee and help you with even get a good license. So all those things are the government is trying to do. The situation today is improving, I would put it. It's a fact that many things needs to be done. Like in UK, they have some special incentives in terms of taxation benefits and also some investments which government does to help promote industries and other things. I started IP patent now almost 25 years back when people did not even know what IP was. I'll just give you an example. My father-in-law was a regional director in not in IGNOU, but those technical training college. So and when people used to ask him what your son-in-law does, he used to tell that, oh, he's a chemist, but he doesn't work in the lab. He works with computers, something, I don't know even that. So that was then. And today we are having these sessions where IGNOU and everybody is helping you guys to see what can be done. So there is a sea change in what government is doing. There are a lot of programs. I don't remember all of them, but if you look at Startup India, if you go to the patent office website and some other I think there are many more. The government is doing in terms of. I see those ads coming in paper about this. Department of Biotechnology, other departments asking them for proposals for them to fund. So and those funds I think are includes your cost of filing and other things. All of them are taken care by those funds. So I think there's a lot happening, and you just kind of look through. You'll be able to get a lot of this.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. I think so. Shashwat, I think from the NCAD there is a message. You can look at it. And if there any more, queries, then I would like to thanks Dr. Kaushik Banerjee for very intenseful and then informative session with valuable information with the simple examples. And on behalf of RC Chennai and on behalf of our Cluster 12 Regional Center and on behalf of IGNOU NCAD, we thank you, sir, for your time and giving a very good information to us in your informative talk. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Many more we will be looking at for many more in future.
Sure.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.